Today I'm going to be sharing with you a budgeting method that saved my life. Hi, welcome back to the Budget Mindset YouTube channel. I'm Sandy, and today I'm going to be sharing with you the budgeting method that saved my life. I was on a low income, I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I was trying to get, in control of my money, and I just could not find a way to get my budget organized. I have been trying to follow the famous Dave Ramsey baby steps, where you save £1,000 as your baby step 1, and then you start paying off your debt. So I found myself constantly going between step 1 and step 2. So I would save £1,000, pay off debt, and then something would happen. I would have to use my emergency fund, and then I find myself having to stop paying debt. So then I had no savings, and also couldn't keep paying off the debt. This was becoming frustrating. So I found myself saving at the beginning of the month, but then by the end of the month I would have no savings left, because what would happen would be I would overspend, and then because I still had bills to pay, I wouldn't take money out of my savings, and by the end of the month I would have no savings. So I felt like I was a headless chicken from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, trying to pay my bills, trying to save money, trying to pay debt. I just felt like I was so disorganized, I was so stressed out, and I thought, okay, the best thing for me to do would be to try and get 1 month ahead. So I thought, why can't I just save a bit of money, maybe try and get 1 month ahead so that I can actually get ahead. And so because I get paid every single week, I decided to make one paycheck last as long as I could. I calculated and figured out how I could make one paycheck pay kind of my second week and third week bills. And what I discovered was that for the first sort of 1 to 2 paychecks, if I manage my money right, I could actually cover all of my bills for the whole month. Then when it came to the third and fourth paycheck, because I got paid every week, then I could use that money to, help me get 1 month ahead. So that's when I created the budget blocking method. And this is a system that I created that splits your budget into different blocks and makes your budget more manageable and reduces your stress and anxiety. So hopefully you do find this video helpful. Since I created that method, my budget has been so organized. I've felt so at ease. I actually look forward to budgeting every single month. And like I said, this budgeting method saved my life. Because of this method, I was able to get 1 month ahead. I was able to have an emergency fund ready for when the pandemic hit. Because if I had not had that emergency fund during 2020, then I know I would have been screwed. So today I'm going to share with you the budget blocking method, and hopefully this method will help you as well in managing your money and organizing your budget. Hi guys, so this is my budget blocking method. This is the 12 months undated budget planner that I created that splits my budget into different blocks and helps organize my budget and making it simpler for me to manage my money, and it helps me know where my money has to go. So the first page we have is the budget blocking calendar. This is where you put all of your paychecks, all of your income, and all of your expenses that you expect to pay out of the month. You can organize it into different categories. I put bills in orange, so all these are when my bills will come out. Spending in pink, savings in yellow, and then income in green. At the end, you total up each week how much you need for your bills, how much you have for your variable spending, and any kind of extra you have. So this is a great way to see how much you have to leave to cover your bills, how much you have for your spending, and then how much you have for savings and anything like that. So it's a great way to organize your budget so you know where you're starting off at the beginning of the month. To me, it kind of reminds me of time blocking. That's a method where you kind of focus on completing one task or similar tasks together before you move on to the next. So I thought, okay, what if I just focus on paying my bills first, then whatever I have left over, all I have to do is manage that. So if I want more to put towards my priorities, then I have to manage my spending and spend less. And if I end up spending more, that just means that I have less to put towards my priorities. The next sheet we have is the overview. So this is where you break it down further. So you would take all of your income you expect for the month, so on the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th, and you would write them all here. You would also include any rollovers you have. You would add up all these, which would give you a total. So this is what you expect for the month. Again, this is a overview. This is kind of a plan for the month. So you expect $3,206.55. The second thing you do do is you would add up all of your bill totals from your calendar for each week, and you would put them down here, and then you would tally that up, and it gives you £1,566.43. And you do the same for your variable spending. Again, you look on your calendar, see what you've kind of planned out, variable spending, take it from there and you add it here, and then you total it up here. So here, as you can see, let me take this out. So as you can see, you have 1,150 that you need to cover all of your variable spending for the month. Each section is labeled, so it starts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 8. So you just follow this order, really easy. Next thing you want to do is you want to start organizing your budget to see how many paychecks you need to cover your bills. So you would first write the total that is needed to cover your bills, and that is taken from B. You see this? They match. Next, you would do how many paychecks is needed to cover that bill. And to do that, what you would do is you would go back to here, you would add up all these amounts until you get to a total that covers this amount. So as you can see here, we have 1, 2, 3 paychecks, including the rollover, is what is needed to cover bills. So that lets you know that if you get paid every single week, it will take you about 3 paychecks to cover your total bills needed, which is 1,563.43. So from the get-go, you already know, okay, the first thing I need to do is cover my essentials. This system works in kind of an organized way. So the first thing you do is you cover your essential commitments, and those are your bills and payments, because they need to get paid. I mean, you cannot finesse a bill. You can reduce them, you can get rid of them, but once you have them, they need to get paid. It's best to organize yourself and find out how much you need to cover your bills, and then you work from there. So we need 1,566.43 to cover bills. It'll take 3 paychecks to cover that. And then what you do is you add up the total amount of those 3 paychecks. So you would add this, and a rollover. As you can see here, it says pay needed. You tick that because you're including it to cover the bills. And these 3 paychecks, including rollover, total 2,572.05. So that's what you're working with. The next section is section 5. And what you do is you take your total income minus your total bills, and you have a main leftover that you're going to work with. Total income minus total bills, and you're left with 1,640.12. From that amount, you then find out amount needed to cover all of your variable spending for the month, which is C. Again, it matches. So you need 1,150. And what you do, you take this amount, 1,640.12 minus the 1,150, and you'll be left with this amount. And this amount is what you're going to use for your saving pots and extra priorities. At the bottom here, you'll find the percentage of that category. Bills are taking up 49% of your budget, which is your income, and then it's taking up 36%, and then your leftover is taking up 15%. If you're one of those people that budgets by like the 50-30-20 method, this is kind of a good way to kind of, you know, regulate how much of your income is going to which category. So that's an option that I've put there for people. So once we sorted out what we need to cover bills and we know what we're left with, you need to then break this down into further by finding out the amount you need for your spending. You take this amount, which is the total of those 3 paychecks that you've worked out. You minus what is needed to cover your bills. This is what you're going to be left over with whilst you're covering your bills. So whilst you're covering your bills for the first 3 paychecks of the month, you will have 1,105.62 to work with, and that will be used for your variable spending. So you take the total left for spending while covering your bills and you put it here. Then what you would do is you would work out the amount needed for spending while you're covering bills. So what I mean by that is this amount is the total of those 3 paychecks. You minus what you need to cover your bills because it'll take 3 paychecks. You're left with this amount. However, with this amount, you may not need all of that amount. So you need to work out how much of this you need to cover your spending for those 3 paychecks. And so what you would do here is you would add up 1, to 3 because it will take you 3 paychecks. So you add up these 3 amounts, and these 3 amounts equal £910. Then you take this amount minus £910 and it leaves you £95.62. So basically what this is saying is you need £1,643 to cover your bills. It will take 3 paychecks, and you need £910 to cover your spending during those 3 paychecks, and you have an extra £95.60 you can put towards your sinking funds, extra expenses, or this you can use kind of as a buffer in case you overspend on your variable. Once you've covered your bills, that's when you start allocating to extra debt, extra spending, extra priorities, or sinking funds. So it will take you 3 paychecks. And again, here is just a summary. This amount, £1,563.43 to cover your bills. It will take you 3 paychecks to cover the whole amount of your bills. You need £910 for those 3 paychecks, which you need for your spending and your variable spend expenses. So things like groceries, eating out, fun money, clothes, and you've got an extra £95.62 to work with whilst you're covering those bills. Once you've covered your bills, any future paycheck, so this paycheck and this paycheck, you can put as much of that you need towards your extra priorities. And that's what I love about this system, because it takes care of the essentials first, and then you work with what you've got left over. So that's the overview page. There's instructions here. You get 2 of those. The next sheet is the planned and actual. So what you would do, you first need to put the income needed to cover the total bills, which you have gotten from here. So you take this amount and you put it here. This is letting you know you need this amount to cover your bills. I take a starting balance and I use my budget as you earn system, which is this system here. And I use that to help me fill in things like your starting balance and your income in. What I use is the income and expense tracker. So I use the income and expenses tracker from the budget as you earn system to help me out, because here you have a starting balance. It lets you know how much income you've had come in, your total expenses, total income, and your closing balance. It's just easier for me to use this sheet. I created both of these systems to be standalone and work on their own. However, they do complement each other, and it's just easier for me to take figures like my starting balance and how much income I have from here, because I track all my spending using the budget as you earn system. And I'll leave a video here explaining the budget as you earn system. It's just easier for me to take it from here and then copy it onto here. So that's where the starting balance and income in comes from, and you add these 2 up and you get a total income. Then you put in how much you expected for your bills from the first week. As you can see, so we're planning for week 1, so we're using week 1 figures. We're planning for week 2, we'll use week 2 figures. If we're planning for week 3, we'll use week 3 figures, and so on. 795.48, which we got from here. So, and then we take the 220, which we got from here. So as you can see, each page leads on from each other. And when we take total income minus the bills, we're left with this amount, 330.07, minus the variable spending, we're left with this amount. And this amount, 110.07, we're actually going to put as a rollover, again, because we know it's going to take about 3 paychecks to be able to cover all of our bills. So any amount left at the end of the week, we leave in the account to roll over. Once you plan for the week, so I do this once a week. At the beginning of the week, I plan for the week using a sheet, and then I go about my week spending, tracking, again using the budget as you earn system, income and expenses tracker. And then at the end of the week, I come back and I write my actual amount. So starting balance is always the same. Income in, that's how much income came in. Again, I just use figures from the income and expense tracker, and it's just easy for me that way. So this is the amount that I actually spent. So I plan to spend $795.48. I spent $556.98. I plan to spend $210, spent $217. I plan to have this leftover, $110.07, end up having this leftover, and I put this amount to saving pots and roll over. Even though my budget said that it would take me 3 paychecks, at the end of the day, I wanted to put some more into my savings from the beginning. This is a plan for your money, but what I love about this system is it's realistic. It goes with you. Even though you plan something, what is represented is the actual amount that you spent and how you managed your money. So I decided to put some in saving pots. Now the rollover for the first week, 1307, becomes the starting balance for the next week that you planned. as you can see here. So we use that and then we go through it again. For the second week, you would add 2586, that's how much. You would add this amount, that's how much. And then we do the same thing. We plan at the beginning of the week. I plan on a Sunday, so I know what I'd have to leave to cover my bills and payments, then what I have for my spending. And then at the end of the week, which I do Monday to Sunday. That's how I spend kind of on a work week. But you can do this from paycheck to paycheck. Maybe you get paid Tuesday and you can do it from Tuesday till Monday. Maybe you get paid on a Friday and you may want to do Friday to Thursday. But for me, it's easier just to do Monday to Sunday because I know like that's the working week, and I don't do it by sort of my paychecks days because I know that can change. Whereas always going to be a Monday, there's always going to be a Sunday. And I track from the beginning of the month to the end. That's why I track from week 1 to week 5, because I know there's always going to be first of the month and the last day of the month. So that's how I track. Again, we plan for week 2. We track our spending during the week, come back and we write the totals that we spent for the second week, and the second week's rollover becomes the starting balance for the third week, and so on and so forth. At the end of the month, we tally up how much has been used to cover bills and payments, and all you do is you add 1, 2, 3, 4, all this added up, and that's how much. So you know, planned 1,563.43 to cover bills, you actually spent 1,059.43. By organising my budget into those blocks, so I would have a bills block, then I would have a spending block, and then I would have a savings and extra priorities. By dividing my budget into blocks, it just actually gave me so much peace of mind, and it made me feel more organized. It made me feel like I had a handle on my money, and I didn't feel like a headless chicken from the beginning of the month to the end of the month. While we are planning for the week and then writing the actuals, the next page, you then just transfer the information onto this table, and you can I do it week by week. So I plan for the week, I track my spending at the end of the week on a Sunday, come back and I actually write my totals. And then what I do is I would put my week 1 planned and actual figures here, and then I work out my total income, actual income, and I do it each week. So the week 2, I would plan, track my spend, come back and write my actuals for week 2, and then put the planned and actuals on the table, and so on and so forth. And then at the end of the month, I just add up all of those actual figures and put them in the monthly total here. Next page is the final page. We'll take this information that you've tracked for the month, so you can see these figures, which is your actual 2730, 2679. That's what we write here. And you would compare this month versus last month. So you can see where you stand, and you can see how you are budgeting and if your spending is aligning with your priorities. And you work out the percentage of income, which it tells you here, percentage of income equals actual amount divided by actual total income times 100. So here we see that the bills are taking up 33%, spending 35.4, savings 27.4, and so on. And this month we had an extra paycheck, because here we had 4 paycheck, 5 paycheck, we had an extra paycheck, and we had less income. We had 158.23 less income. You're working with your this month, so this is August's budget wheel, and you fill in this budget wheel. The final thing you do is you would take the percentages of your expenses. Here you have your bills, your variable spending, saving pots, extra priorities, rollover. These are all your expense categories. You would take the percentages and then you write them here. As you can see, 33%, 35.4, saving pots was 27.4, extra priority was 2%, and rollover 2.2%. And all you do is then you color in the wheel to represent each of these percentages. So you can see at a glance how much you're spending, and you can see that, yeah, variable spending is taking quite a chunk, but so is saving pots and bills. So I feel like this budget is kind of a even budget. I mean, 33% for bills, 35% for spending, 27% for savings. I feel like it's quite a balanced budget, so I'm quite happy with that. So, and then you write any kind of accomplishments or reflections you have, happy with the amount saved in saving pots, and you know, you've got sheets where you can write other things. So this is my budget blocking method. I will leave links down below in the description. I love this system. It organizes my budget, simplifies it, gives me less stress, and this system allowed me to get 1 month ahead. It's fun to use. I look forward to budgeting. I love this system. This system has completely changed my life, and so hopefully it does help you and you do find it helpful. I believe this method will reduce your anxiety when it comes to budgeting, will help you stop living paycheck to paycheck like it did with me, and I honestly do hope that this budgeting method does help you, and I'll be making other videos on sort of in more detail. I will leave links in the description. I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel. I am trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so if you like budgeting videos, I would really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the channel. I will see you on my next video. Bye.